And welcome everyone once again to our Wednesday evening from the Eastern Mediterranean. And tonight, our guest we're delighted to welcome to be with us is our dear sister Judy, joining us from Halifax in Canada. Judy, a warm welcome to you. Most welcome. Can you hear me okay? All right, we'd like to start by offering you a welcome with flowers. And so here they come on the screen any moment now. And there are, they're there. There's Sister Ipek offering you these beautiful flowers from Istanbul. Lovely. Thank you, Ipek. Thank you. So, yes, we take up a different subject every Wednesday. And tonight, we're looking at the subject of creativity and the importance of creativity in the spiritual journey. Now, one thing is for sure, that Baba is very creative. To keep a bunch of students engaged for 80 years, you have to be a creative teacher. You have to find different ways to inspire different students in his university. And also you'll notice when we have Borg messages, it's the most creative you could imagine. Baba doesn't just give a direction, do this with 3 or 4 bullet points, but it's always there was a 5, 10 diamonds in a circle, light was coming out of them, something was written, etc., etc. So Baba demonstrates his creativity. And also a couple of weeks ago, he said in the Murali that don't bore yourself with just thinking I am a point, but bring some variety into your practice. So, and he said variety is necessary in human life. And so variety is very much connected with creativity as well. And so that's what we'll be asking Judy to take up. Here's a bit about her for those who may not know. She's worked for 35 years as facilitator and coaching consultant in experiential learning, leadership development, and organizational effectiveness. She's known for her ability to go into the depth of a subject with lightness, with entertainment, with humor. And I've had the great joy of being in many of her sessions over the years. She's also the author of 5 books, including a young adult novel, which was written with her 2 daughters. And she takes care of Baba's Center in Halifax. So Judy, just before you start, a reminder, there is simultaneous translation into several languages. So if you please keep the speed fairly slow. Okay, thank you and welcome again.
Thank you, Yogesh. Shanti. Can everybody hear me okay? Volume okay? Yes. Okay. Yes, Yogesh, is it okay?
Yes.
Microphone a little closer. How's that? Turn it up a little bit. How's that?
I think that's fine. Yeah.
Okay, good. All right. So I can't see anybody, but I am delighted to see 3 shining faces. Hello. Oh, there's Jos. Oh, look at, such old friends. Annike's there. Look at this. Oh, hello, everyone. Thank you for opening. There's Gloria in Mozambique. That's amazing. Look at that. Rachel in Israel. Hervé. Oh, hello, everyone. It's really lovely. There's Petra. So sweet to see everybody. So welcome. This is a good topic, isn't it? Creativity. I really I really loved it, although I had a lot of fun creating this. So I hope you will enjoy the next hour as well, because we're going to do a couple of creative things. And then at the end of the hour, maybe you can tell me that now. What is the importance of creativity on your spiritual journey? But hopefully at the end of the hour, you will have more fruit for thought on this topic of how is creativity really important to us on our spiritual journey. And as Yogesh said, we are all creative, right? I mean, Baba's asked us to co-create heaven. So that's big. We are co-creators with God. And I mean, we know in this school that we're learning to be self-masters. So that means that I understand and I accept that every single thought I create is my creation. And that every thought, of course, will create an awareness, which will create an attitude, which will be seen in my eyes, my drishti, and be reflected in my actions. So everything, we are all creators. So it's a starting point for this conversation is that we are all obviously creative. Yes? Yes. Yes. But I don't know about you, but I did not think of myself as a creative person when I came to Baba 25 years ago, because I actually thought that being creative looked something a little bit. I love this slide, Yogesh, this fantastic image here. I can't share. There we go. Brilliant slide. This is what my head feels like most days. Yes. But I actually thought creativity was this. And I don't do any of that. I mean, after 25 years, I can make a very beautiful bouquet of flowers. That I can do, but I can't do any of this. And so I thought from the beginning that I was not a creative person. And I think now I know that I actually am a creative person, because I think I understood this is artistic, but pretty much everything we do is creative for the reasons, we just talked about. So for me, though, the creativity has been about newness, creating newness at every step of this journey, and especially creating new ways to think, but new tools to sort of conquer old thinking, in a way, to keep myself from going down into those comfortable old thinking patterns, because those are easy to go into, but it requires a little extra effort, little energy. And for me, that energy is creative energy, to be always finding tools and ways to keep myself, basically, to keep myself going on this journey, to keep myself engaged, to keep myself enjoying this journey, because it's a long journey. It's not a short one. We have to pace ourselves. And I live in part of the world. I was thinking today, you probably have somebody new from Europe every Wednesday, and maybe from all over the world. How fortunate are you? And since Zoom, we have had more people, and Yogesh, you're on the list now. Here, but before COVID, we're at the kind of the end of the geographic line in Canada, and we're not really on a flight path. So people fly to Canada via Montreal, Toronto, or Vancouver, but not via Halifax. So we did not have many people coming. And I was on my own with one other brother for about 15 years here. Sister Mohini said, hard soil, she kept saying. But basically, we had to keep ourselves going. So I feel like these tools, this using creativity to keep ourselves going, was my lifeline. It's what Baba gave me as a gift, was lots of creative ideas. So today, I'd like to just explore a couple of those creative ideas. And I'm just going to use the ones that have worked for me. And I know for all of you, you've got your own tools. You wouldn't be here today if you didn't have your own creative ways. So for what it's worth, I'll share mine today, what I find fun, what I find enjoyable, what I enjoy creating to keep myself going. And then you can tell me at the end if anything's useful, you can use. But our journey is to explore what is the importance of this. So we're going to start by doing something creative. Okay. So I'm going to ask you a question, and then I'm going to ask you to do something. So the first question is this: reflect for a moment on what you love most about your spiritual journey right now, today. So take a moment and think about that. What do you love most about your spiritual journey in this period, this time, this moment of your life? So today. Okay. Now, when you have your answer, you may not have to get up physically, but you might. I'd like you to look around the room where you're sitting, and I would like you to find an object, something tactile and practical. And I would like you to get up and go get that object. And it's an object that reflects the answer to your question. An object that reflects what you love most about your spiritual journey in this moment. Okay, so everybody up. And if you can reach it from your desk, that's fine. But if you can't, then get up and get it and then come back. Bring it back with you. So stop sharing for a moment. We're going to put our cameras on. We're going to show each other our object. So hold it out on the screen so others can see your object. Oh, that's very creative. Look at all these great things. Okay. Oh, an orange. Fantastic. Oh, nice little angel. Very good. Hold up your object. A moon. I think a planet. Look at all these things. A boat, a pen, candle holder. I think that is. Yeah. What else have we got? Hold them up so everyone else can see as well. Glasses. Very great. Okay. Anything else? All right. What's Gloria got? She's got looks like a Shiva. Oh yeah. Aldois has a lovely like snow cone. Nanette has earphones, the earplugs. Very good. Ta-da. Look at all the different things. Okay. So now I would like you to type in the chat box in whatever language works for you. I'd like you to type in the chat box your object. So I'm going to put chimes. And then I would like you to write how this reflects what you love most about your spiritual journey right now. So take a minute and put words to that. You picked this, but there's a reason why. How does this reflect what you love most about your spiritual journey? And just type it in the chat box in any language so we can all read. Okay, lovely. So finding the inner silence under the noise, beautiful. Loving to draw, sweetness of the study, enjoying the journey. So the boat was lovely. Okay, some I can't read, but others can, that's okay. Microphone to chit chat. Lovely. So the chit chatting must reflect a spiritual gathering, the family, and spiritual relationships and support. Flowers of different colors. The guitar made me see my inner powers. Nice. Starting from scratch a small bird on a small bell. And what does that represent? A sparkling stone reflects a feeling to be sparkling. So you're feeling sparkling right now on your journey. Ah, the ball of wool. Lovely, Carolyn. Something new that was not immediately obvious. That's great. And colorful too. Okay, how I learned to be self-sufficient, independent. Lovely. The socks. You're feeling protected right now. That's great. Okay. Collectively cleansing our domain, the globe. Lovely. Glasses, you're seeing different perspectives right now. Fantastic. Look at all these. Okay. Anyone else? Take a minute and just pop it on there. All right. So besides the fact that it's lovely to see what everybody's writing, I have to look at the side here. A ball of marble feeling whole. Oh, lovely. Rachel's self-expression. Small box of cloves helps me to clear my voice and control my cough. That's what you're enjoying most about your journey right now. Health. Let's say you're enjoying health and well-being. Lovely. Okay, great. All right. So let's just take a moment and reflect on what we just did, shall we? So here we go. Take a moment. I'd like you to reflect on what happened inside of you when I asked you that question. So the question was, what do you love most about your journey right now? Just take a moment and reflect. What happened inside of you when I asked you that question? Okay, and the second question, what happened inside of you when you were asked to get up and move and get an object? Just remember, if you can, what happened inside of you. And then the last reflection, what happened inside when you were asked to explain why you chose this object, what the meaning or what the message in the object was, how it connected to what you love right now. So what happened inside of you when you were asked to do that? In some ways, this is the hardest step, this last one for many of us, but all right. So, first one, the positive question activates creation energy inside. So I don't know what happened inside of you, but when I asked myself that question, what do you love most about your spiritual journey right now? I had to navigate through the challenges, the preoccupations, the current obstacle, the little concerns, the blockages. I had to navigate, I had to discern through all of that and find, this is what I love most right now. And in doing that, what we did is we activated creation energy inside ourselves. So the fact of asking a positive, directed question is a creation, an act of creation. So we awaken creative energy inside ourselves. The movement, I don't know how you felt, but typically I don't want to get up. I'm pretty happy sitting here. I just settled in, and so, get up and go and do something. It actually breaks the passivity. Many of us were raised in a rote learning environment where question, answer, and even in Merle, memorize a point, say a point back. To have to break that passivity means I'm engaging myself more actively, which is a creative step. And then, Brahma Baba used to walk after Merle every day. He used to walk and talk. That's how he churns. I know my best churning comes when I'm moving. I can sit and be very actively engaged, but I know the movement also helps. But in this case, we were breaking the passive relationship, with the screen. The next one, obviously, the image. I mean, Bubba works with metaphor all the time. He's always associating a learning, something from Gyan, with an object. As Yogesh said, the Vogue messages are fantastically creative, right? But in the Murli, always we get a metaphor, an object that stands for another meaning. And we all know what butterfly means. Butterfly is transformation. But if we stopped and we went, well, caterpillar, eating, cocoon, there's so many steps inside that one image. So one image has 1,000 words. But then when we are asked to describe it, that's the hardest. And most of us do a quick, oh, it's this.
Apologies.
But actually,
apologies, Julie. There's a request from the translators just to be a bit slower, please.
Okay. Happy to. So sorry. Beautiful translators. So the next step of being asked to actually explain why you chose this. And for me, this is one of the beauties of creative tools, is for our learning. I don't always know what I know, but it's in me. And it becomes useful to me when I know that I know it. That's mastery. So I knew this felt like where I was at right now, but I didn't know why until I had to explain it to myself. And then I go, oh, the subconscious selected this. Now the conscious mind is figuring out why. Well, it kind of knows why, but it can't explain in detail. So the explaining, using this simple little creative method, I can discover inside of myself what I didn't know that I knew. Because we know all of the knowledge, all of the wisdom, all of the forms I will ever play in the drama are in me. So this is a time to bring them out. So creative tools are one way to do that. So many people do this kind of thing for their journaling or just even enjoying solitude in their own company. Brahma Baba, Shiv Baba together. I mean, Brahma found always the shell on the beach. This is what we are, empty. Always making associations with things. Very creative. So that's the first little exercise I wanted to do, was just kind of explore how we can make associations with things and use that as a creative tool for my own learning, because this is a learning journey. And if I'm learning, I'm not stuck. If I'm stuck, I'm not learning. Learning helps me get unstuck. So creativity to keep myself moving. So, okay, with that one, I'm going to move on to another one. Okay, thank you, Annika. Nice little thumbs up there. All right, so I'm going to move on to another one now. I'm going to move on to, this is one of my, it's just something that I do, but I'm sure we all do it. This one is essence. And I actually think it's a huge expression of creativity to get to the essence of something. I'll never forget when I see Lavender, Brother Ken, saying he spent his whole, original career as a chemist extracting lavender oil from tons of lavender flowers like this. So anyways, getting to the essence of something. And it's hard to do. It's an art to get to the essence. It's an art of communication. It's the art of reveal and conceal. And for myself, I find that the best lessons come to me in an essence-full way. I'm thinking of our daddies, the things Daddy Janky has said to me that have been so short so sweet, but power packed. Sweet in that they're helpful, but power packed with meaning. Sister Mohini is my regional director here. So as a center coordinator, I send her, service reports over the years. And I learned very early just bullet points, 5 or 6 short bullet points, because Sister Mohini is very essenceful. And I would always get a response, and it would be a one-line response. But in that one line, the power, so much power. I would just feel like I have received power, and I've also received kind of a blessing, but I've also received, it's like a door in my mind opens and I can see a pathway. So essence is really an expression of our inner purity and power. So getting to the essence is really, I think, an expression of creativity. So I'm going to ask you to do this, to come to the essence on a question. This question, it's a little bit like, I'm going to ask you actually to come up with a newspaper headline. And the headline is 8-word headline to describe a learning theme that you are currently in the midst of exploring. So something you're learning right now, spiritual learning. And I'm going to ask you to do this as 8 words only. This is how we do our morning churning sometimes in Merle class. Because if you have, 20 plus people, you can't hear from everybody in the fullness of their storytelling, because it would just take too long and it would drain the group energy. So very often we will do 8 words, and we'll take quiet time to think about it, and then we'll each share our 8 words. And our 8 words, a full sentence, 8 words that make meaning, but only 8 words. And then it's like we get the whole story without all the details. That's what the essence is, right? So I'm going to ask you to do that now, to think about what you're learning spiritually right now and turn it into an 8-word newspaper headline. And I'm going to give you mine as a sample. This came to me the other day. This is my headline. Center coordinator gets spiritual promotion to tech support. That's my headline. It's a huge promotion, and I'm growing into it. But so that's my headline, 8 words. And that sums up a whole bunch of thinking and a whole bunch of what's going on now, the processing words we use in our heads. So just take a moment for yourself right now and get to the essence of your learning journey or theme right now. And see if you can do this creative act of creating a headline with 8 words. So being essenceful, and put it in the chat box when you get it done. You don't have to if you don't want, but it's kind of fun to see. Okay, I think what I'm seeing in the chat box is from before. So feel free when you get your 8-word headline to type it in the chat box. Two, three, four, five, six, seven, 8. Wow, these are great. Anna Luisa did one word. That's very good. Oh, look at that. Isn't it lovely to do a headline of your stage? All right. Let's see if we have some more. Nice, Maria. The other day, someone here said, angel crashes in harbor, soon to emerge. So sometimes they can be tragic headlines, but there is something funny about turning it into a headline because we actually detach from our story by telling it as a headline, right? So that's where this creative tool of headline is actually quite useful to us. We detach from our story a little bit. These are beautiful. Thank you for sharing. Lucky stars. Sweet self-respect. Nice. These are great. Thank you. Thank you for sharing. Okay, now there may be a few more coming up there. So we'll see them as they come. But I don't know if for us here, we always have a little bit of humor. We always see the humor when we see a headline. And I think the humor comes because we detach just a little bit from our story, right? Humor is an incredible creative tool. And, our brother Yogesh is a master of humor. And, they say puns are the highest form of humor. And I know you, my dear brother, are a fantastic punster. My favorite form of humor. So, the headline is being essence-full and the humor is creative. So, quick question. Let's reflect on that for a moment. What was the experience? What's it like being essence-full? So we can go on and tell a great long story about everything we just wrote as a headline, couldn't we? But instead, we wrote it as an 8-word headline. And what's the feeling when we do that? What's the experience? Feel free to type it in if you'd like. The two that came to me immediately were, I find it a bit intoxicating and I find it empowering to get to the essence. And so we know there's a story behind it, of course, but we have a hint to the story in the headline. Again, the art of reveal, conceal, which is the art of communicating. Powerful and no waste. Yes, definitely. One of the gifts that Daddy Janky gave me told me that I have this gift from God, not a speciality, a talent, nothing to do with me, just a gift, to save a group from its waste. And I know that's why I spent 40 years, becoming, improving, refining my facilitation, these facilitation skills, because I wanted to save groups from their waste. I wanted them to be free from all that junk and misery that they got themselves into unnecessarily. But of course, then she wagged her finger and said, so do it for yourself. So being essence-full with the self, of course, stopping waste for self. So this is just a tool for that. And I'm seeing people are writing detached and easy. It's playful. It makes you concentrate, definitely. Bit of a dance, focused, detached, fun, creative. Exactly. So this is one of the tools that I play with all the time, is seeing if I can shrink something down to its essence. And I give myself the 8 because the 8 souls, it's a wonderful number for us. I use 8 for Merle churning, for many things, for headlines. And this, I think, is one of the most creative acts we can do is play. And we know that when we're playing, our left and our right hemispheres are together, right? They're connected. So we're having a holistic experience internally. And I think that's our journey, is back to wholeness. So I like to play. We can play with ideas. We can play with images, which we all get to do now on Zoom, which I'm very happy about. I love playing with images, not painting them, but copying, paste them. That I can do. But we're playing. So we want to play with the jewels of knowledge. So I'm going to share one of the things that is connected to essence. And it's playing with the jewels of knowledge for this month of May. And this is synthesis, which is another expression of creativity. It's actually a creative method, a creative tool, is to come to the synthesis, to synthesize something, which basically means bringing together a combination of parts or elements to form a whole. Right? So synthesis is it's like a subset of essence. It's one expression of essence. And I don't know about you, and I love synthesis, and it's been something that I do easily. I do well. It's not hard for me somehow, but I really love doing it. It just comes naturally. But I don't know about you, but for me, very consistently, I find myself overwhelmed by how many beautiful things we have in our yagya to pay attention to. So for instance, this month alone, we have these three things. And these are just the big things. These aren't local, national, regional. These are the big things. So Avyakti Parivar every day is focused on zeal and enthusiasm. The Madhaban Murli points are focused on stability and fearlessness. Yeah. The Murli experiments are focused on our golden aged form. What to do? What to do? I find it overwhelming. Fairly consistently in my Brahmin life, I have been overwhelmed. Which do? I do this at Amravela, I do this one at lunch, and I do this one before bed. I mean, how can we possibly do all these things, right? And do them early well. So I am forever synthesizing these things in my Murli churning. So I'm just going to share, we're only on day 4 of May, but I've been doing this for 4 days and loving it. So I'm synthesizing these 3 right now. So this morning, today's Murli, I pulled a point that made me feel zeal and enthusiasm. And for me, the point this morning was, Baba said, you call out to God, all that time. And somehow I had this feeling of, I really have a deep desire to be pure. I can own that. I can claim that. The evidence, the proof, is that I've been calling out to God for 2,500 years. Come, save me, make me pure. So I took that as my point for zeal and enthusiasm. I found that quite intoxicating, that I actually have a very deep desire to be pure. It's not something I have to create every day. It's there. It's been there forever. Well, for 2,500 years. That's my zeal and enthusiasm point. My stable and fearless point was, this was all about meeting Baba today, whose role and power and purpose is to purify me. So all of that, Baba is purifier, Lord of the poor, Lord of the innocent, everything he said today about, wow, now I get to meet him. I know who he is. And then I added up to, and isn't that just a match made in heaven? Which is an English term for a perfect match, a match made in heaven, but actually it's a match made for heaven. So that's my golden aged point of this morning. So that's my mantra for today. My deep desire to be pure, and that just makes me tingle inside. My deep desire to be pure, meeting the one who can purify me, is a match made for heaven. So that's been my mantra all day. And that's how I marry, which is actually synthesize these threads. And we're always getting so many threads. That's a creative tool that I do every month with whatever our new theme is. And then I make that my Murli churning. So I don't know what that does for you, but that's just something creative that I play with because otherwise I'm overwhelmed. So I want to synthesize them all. So that's that one. And then just a little bit more because I think we have to leave some time for questions. I've got I have two more. Okay, so that's fine. I have two more. And, feel free if you can remember this morning's Merle, which is further away in time for you than it is for me. It's just a few hours ago for me. But if you can remember, feel free to play with that. And you can do it now or after we leave. But that's what I'm going to do for the month of May. Every day I'm going to bring those three together, but from the Merle. So the next one was stories. I love stories. I don't think I'm a very good storyteller, but when I write, I can write a good story because I can edit and I can get feedback. I'm a good co-creator. I love writing stories in groups so that everybody adds an idea and it becomes a more beautiful story. But these books have come through me. Bubba's, created these books, and one of them's a storybook. But if you think about it, we've been learning stories. Like it's been a method of learning, and Bubba uses stories all the time, and all of our devotion is around storytelling. But from children, we've been told stories. Our parents teach us stories, and so we create in our minds. We create images in our minds. Now, how useful is this when you're creating commentaries for people? Creating pictures in the mind, creating stories in the mind. When we walk ourselves into yoga, very often we can start with a story, telling myself a story, situating myself in the context. I may use a good story uses sensory clues. So I might feel the fragrance. I might feel the wind. I might feel my own heart beating. I might hear something. I may start there. As older yogis, we may just go straight to soul and God. But for new people and as instruments, we're always using our experiences to kind of create a little bit of a story to bring people into themselves. So this is a very useful tool, and it's very creative. And I found for myself over the years, I'm a sucker for a good storybook. I love reading good stories that are uplifting and, feeding. But I've noticed in my own daydreaming, because I think daydreaming is a cousin of storytelling, to sit and daydream. And I've noticed in my own daydreaming that they're becoming more subtle, and that I'm having maybe not visions, but definitely more subtle images are coming into my mind and playing in my mind. So I feel like daydreaming, where it used to be considered a bad thing at school, is actually a very useful creative tool for us on the spiritual journey. And it's one I love very much. So I wanted to just name that one in case you also daydream. It's wonderful. It's for subtle images and experiences. And then the last one I'm going to offer, because I know Yogesh asked if I'd save some time for questions. Is that okay? Not going too fast? Give me a thumbs up if we're okay. We continue with the next one.
Yes, in fact, also, Judy, there's no questions so far, so you can keep going on another 10 minutes.
On and on and on, Yogesh. Thank you. No problem. No, I'll be essence-full. We'll move to the next one. So, yeah, Gyani daydreaming. Yes, see, there's a question right there. Well, let's say I would sit here and stare out the window and think about what I'm going to make for Bogue tomorrow, because that will be, for me, I will visualize that. That's kind of daydreaming. I have to sort of see everything before I can do it. This is how I think. So I can sit here and look out the window right now and think about what I'm going to have. That's like a form of daydreaming. So it might start there, as simple as that, a service daydream. But I've noticed that when I sit and say offer Bogue, it's not been my experience to have visions. At the beginning, I did. When Baba, woke me up, I had some very powerful But since then, it's not been part of my spiritual journey. But I've noticed when I sit to offer Bogue, I'll see things. I don't think it's a vision. It's more subtle than that. It's more like I'll have a feeling of Brahma Baba, and then I'll sort of see him, and I'll have a feeling of Mama, and I'll see her. Some days easier than others. But when I was reflecting for this session, I was thinking, I'm wondering if that's actually my daydreaming is being divinized, is being purified, is being spiritualized. And that capacity to see things in your mind, to create pictures in your mind, which is essentially daydreaming before we come to Gyan, turns into something much more subtle and beautiful and entertaining and engaging, and creates feelings of closeness. And yeah, so that's what it's been for me, this creative capacity. And maybe some of you noticed this too, but that's what came as I reflected. Okay, I'm going to give you one more area. I'm sure there's so many more, but I was just thinking about the main areas in my Brahmin life where creativity has been and is still very, very useful to me. And the next one is our charts. Oh, how we love our charts. Now, not everyone loves it. I can see Rachel laughing. She'd laugh out loud if she could. Yes, I hear you from here, Rachel. I see it. Yes. Most have no love for charts. I understand that. And for whatever reason, I have a love for charts. I don't know why. I have a little engineering brain, but when I received the early charts, the 108 points, and did I do all of those? I was asleep before point 2 every night. So I knew that wasn't going to work for me, those ones. I knew I had to do something else. So, but I liked the idea of tracking. I liked the idea of it being almost like a conversation between me and Baba before sleeping. And I work as an organizational development consultant. So I know organizations rely on metrics. And I know actually that every organization measures what they want to grow. In fact, a gentleman by the name of Jim Collins wrote a book called The Great Game, in which he says every organization needs to find their one number. There is one number. That's the only number you need to track, because that number will tell you everything. And so in a private sector organization, that number, it's not revenue, because you could have lots of revenue, but your expenses could be much higher. So therefore it must be profit. Profit's the number if you're in private sector. But of course, that tells you nothing about the health of your people, your culture. It tells you the health, your financial health, but nothing else. In a public sector NGO, you would be measuring maybe donations, you might be measuring number of programs, other things. But for us, Baba has one number. And what is that? Remembrance. It's the hardest thing to track. It's almost impossible, actually. So I found that delightful, that he was asking me to track something that's impossible. I don't know why I think that's funny. I think it's really fun. And I entered into that challenge to try and track my remembrance. Super hard, super hard. But this is how I now do it after many, many years of trying many, many different things. And this will be today's chart. And it's in a little tiny book, so it's not so big. And it's by my bed. It's this big because I learned, it's like A5, I think. I learned that if it's anywhere in the house, I will not do it. If it's by my bed, I'll do it. So I've printed one special. I have it. I always have it. It's by my bed. For 25 years, I have been doing this, but this is my best one, my best creation so far. So I'm going to share this creation because it seems to work. And I have a little tiny 24-hour clock. And on that clock, you can tell there's 4 a.m. to 6 a.m. every day. That slice of pie, it's a pie chart. Where are we between 4 a.m. and 6 a.m. every day? We're at Amrit Vela, drinking tea, reading Murli, writing in my journal, getting ready for class every day. pretty reliable pattern. And I sort of max out at 30 minutes for 2 hours. That's not very much, but that's because I'm counting. I started with volcanic. I only ever counted volcanic yoga. And when I realized I only had 5 minutes in a 24-hour period, I got very disheartened. So I changed and I said, I think I'll go a bit bigger. Maybe I'll include chit chat, and maybe I'll include companion times with Baba. Maybe I'll include karma yoga, etc. So I have this little thing, and it's the hardest thing I do every night in my chart, but I do it every night. And I have found it brought so much benefit because I'm more discerning. And because you grow what you measure, if I measure it, it will grow. So I always get more remembrance at the end of the day because I'm measuring my remembrance. It's just something I do. So that's part of my chart every single night. And I had to get creative to finally come with this 24-hour clock. But then I always write, what was my Murley mantra from the day, and what did it mean at the end of my day? So tonight when I go to bed, I will think about how my deep desire for purity, meeting Baba, who can make me pure, is a perfect match for heaven. I will reflect on how that was relevant for my day. I do that every day, always standard features. But then the next, I like to be surprised. When I go to bed, I like a surprise every night. If I had the same question, the thing about charts is they get really, really boring over time, unless you change it up. So for me, I just keep adding new questions. We have a team here, and we generate 36 new questions every 4 months. And then every day we get a new question for 36 days, and then we rotate, we get them again. But there's a team here who loves to come up with questions. So tonight, this is tomorrow night. I didn't want to see tonight's because I want to be surprised. Tomorrow night, when I go to bed, the question will be, what delighted me today? And that'll make me think, oh, that's an interesting question. They're all positive because I tried the negative questions and they feel so miserable before I go to sleep that I refuse to do them. I will not ask myself, when did Maya get you today? Those used to be my questions, but not now. But I always have a little chart, a space at the bottom where I write, Dear Baba, my dearest Baba, and I write what I need to let go of for the day. I always do that. He wants us to do that. And then I looked at my chart and I went, and the next day I've got, how is my Amrit Vela improving? That is one of my best questions ever, because I think my Amrit Vela is not improving. But when I ask the question, I find that it is. So that's why I'm asking myself that question. And what virtue shone brightly. And what sweet spiritual insight. And I conquered Maya today, etc. So every day for 36 days, I have a new question. And that keeps me interested in doing my chart because it feels like a friend. Okay, that's it. That's all I have to share for tools. But I do love charting, and I've tried flower petals where you color. I'm sure all of you have done some version of this as well. I'm just sharing. I spend a lot of creative energy trying to make this chart enjoyable. And it's really just a conversation before I go to bed. For me, it doesn't work enough just to write to Baba. I have to be, because I know he wants me to track remembrance. That's why I do the numbers game. So I do a little quantitative and I do a lot of qualitative for my chart. So I'm going to end it there with a question to you. So just take a moment. And of all the things that were shared here today.
So Judy, there's one question, maybe you've covered it, but somebody asks, could you tell a bit more about creativity during meditation? Is there anything more you could say on that?
Yes. Well, I just think over the years, I've tried so many different things. I don't know what I can say about that. I think anytime we sit and take a title of Baba and create images or create feelings or write creatively, that's creativity. For me, I like getting creative with my feelings. So I like taking a negative feeling into yoga, something that's, I know needs to change. And I like transforming it into a positive feeling. So if that's through conversation with Baba, if that's through visualizing, Mansa Seva, all the tools we have, so that I leave my meditation with a positive feeling. For me, that's a very creative experience. And I'm working a lot with feelings these days. I really only want lovely feelings, and every now and then not lovely feeling comes up. And so I'm working with that creatively. I think I used to do images and visual things, but now I think it's more feelings and atmosphere. It's part of my promotion to tech support, and the atmosphere team is working on just atmosphere. So I don't know if that's helpful to you. Over the years, I've done so many things, as I'm sure you have. One of the early ones in relation to Amrit Vela is there's no love in me at 3:45 a.m. There just isn't. I don't know why, but there's no love in me at that time of day. I do not awaken with love in my heart. I awaken not feeling loving. And so the 15 minutes between waking and sitting in front of Baba is a journey. And I have had to be very creative about that journey. It starts with some self-talk. It starts with, that I am a beautiful soul and I love Baba, and, just thinking about Baba and feeling. And at one time in my journey, many years ago, I had a stick-it pad of flower Post-it notes. And I would sit and I would write something I loved about Baba. And it had to be a different one. And I did it for 108 days. And each day I put it around his picture until I had a garland of 108. And the point was to create a feeling of love before I started Amrit Vela, because I realized there was no love when I went to Amrit Vela, and that was an obstacle to having a beautiful Amrit Vela. There was really just grumpiness. So, and I know over the years, settling whatever bhakti, devotional, dutiful sanskars, the time Baba said to us, I see you, you are all lords of discipline at Amrit Vela. I thought, he sees me. So I thought I had to change that to love. So that's what I can share about yoga.
Also, somebody asks, why 36 questions? And there's a request, can we see the previous slide again, please?
Yes, you can. And I can send you the questions, and I can send you the whole chart book. You can print your own. This one, you mean? Why 36? I don't know. We always like to play with numbers here. There are the 36 virtues in Madhuban. So we'll often do things like 36 totally on Baba's tray. We just play with numbers here. It's part of a game, part of playing. We always do things in 8s and 16s, and I don't know. But it's partly because over the years, we've developed enough of them that we keep adding. And there are some that we still really like. So for instance, how is my Amrit Vela improving? We only ask on Thursdays now, on Bog Day. So we're getting a bit ritualistic. But next Thursday, it will be, how is the quality of my traffic control improving? And the next Thursday, it's going to be, how's the quality of my Murli churning? So we decided to put the 4 main subjects on our Thursdays. We're just, we've been doing this for a while. So now we just refine, which is an aspect of creativity.
Okay, thank you. Is there anything else you're going to say?
Well, I was just going to ask everyone else to think about if there was any newness in there that touched you today, and just to reflect for yourself on the value of creativity for your spiritual journey. So we can just end with that. I don't know if you end with a meditation, but it could be even in the form of just 2 minutes together in meditation, Yogesh. Would that work?
Just before that, we invite everyone to open camera so you can see who's been with us if you go to gallery view.
Yeah, let me stop sharing here.